Hey, tonight is the New York City mayoral debate featuring Mamdani, and I want you to watch the following clips and understand that Robert Akla is a political consultant. He has been for 14 years. He's currently a citywide canvass director for Mamdani's campaign and spent some time with Mug Club Undercover. Maybe someone at the debate could ask Mamdani if he will, in fact, demand that the NYPD block ICE from doing their job, orchestrating an armed standoff. Anything else you want to know? Watch these clips.
Like 4 of the people that I worked with on AOC's campaign are actually on Zohran's campaign. And then a couple of the people I worked with Jamal Bowman's campaign are actually on Zohran's campaign. It's not like this just came out of nowhere. Like, not at all. Like, this has been a coordinated, organizing effort for since 2014. I walk out of the office, guess who walks in? 5 police officers and Zohran Mamdani.
Why was there 5 police officers with them?
You know, we're protecting our big dog.
So what if Mamdani wins, will he be able to stop ICE from coming in here and taking our undocumented citizens?
Make it harder for them, but the only thing he can do is stop the NYPD from helping. And right now, Adams is letting the NYPD help them.
Right, but we would have control over the NYPD afterwards,
he can go to the NYPD and be like, do not let them into the courthouses.
And what would they say?
Well, ICE wouldn't be able to go in.
What did the police think about Zohran? Because I know that's a little contentious.
Just what they think. You're a city employee. You get told what to do. Shut up. When did you get an opinion? You don't have a political opinion. You're nonpartisan. That's the way it should be. Yeah. That is the worst thing they ever did, the cops. They went out there and they said, we endorse Trump. What? They started wearing Trump things. Now they just elected a very progressive guy. Now even if he's nice to you, you're looked at as the enemy of him because you endorse Trump.
Wow. And we have a lot more to cover with Zohran Mamdani. Folks, it's Friday and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. All right, we have, of course, Nicole Bennett.
Hey, family.
And Shelly was here. She happened to just drop off. She's having some technical difficulties, but she should be on momentarily. Mm-hmm. All right, we've got a full show tonight. So before we light this fire, do your part, tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We're live on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, Nicole, let's set it off. Hopefully, Shelly gets her technical stuff situated, but let's get into this. So we're going to talk tonight about the debate, the New York City debate last night between Zohran Mamdani, Cuomo, and what's the Republican's name? Swigley or
the Hells, not the Hells Angels, the guy with the red hat.
Yeah, Guardian Angels. Yeah, Silwa. Yeah. So lot to talk about with that, but let's talk about what we just saw. So that was some undercover reporting done by Steven Crowder and his company. Looks legit to me. And what they're saying is Mamdani plans on telling the NYPD not to cooperate with ICE. What are your thoughts on that, Nicole?
Listen, Steven Crowder does undercover so well. Between him and Matt Walsh, I mean, there's not an organization I don't think that they could covertly go into and dig up the goods. What I can say is this is exactly what people should expect from Mamdani. I mean, at this point, he has been incredibly transparent about what his socialist identity is and what he's going to bring to the city. New Yorkers know doggone well there's nothing in this world that you get for free. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Everything is going to cost somebody something. But will they vote for someone who's promising the world who's going to deliver them right to ruin? That's the big question. And it seems like he's happy to take them to ruin.
Yeah. Yeah. And he is not hiding it. He's not hiding it.
Very transparent.
Very transparent. All right, here we have Shelly. Shelly's back with some technical difficulties, but the devil is a liar.
And internet works, right?
Yes, we got her back. All right, before we get you in here, Shelly, I wanted to we have some super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. As you come in, please hit that like button. It helps to keep us on YouTube online. Hit that like button. It also tells YouTube that more people need to see this video, and subscribe. All right, Kung Fu CJ starting us off hot, says, hello, Poppin' Politics family. Let's get it. All right, thank you so much. At Reldon65 with the $5 super chat says, what's up, ladies? Alabama says hello. Thank you so much. All right. Yes, indeed. So a lot to unpack here. That's just one of the things that Mamdani has talked about. But folks, not only are we going to unpack this debate, but we're going to really talk about just an overall outcome and effect of Zohran Mamdani. So something remarkable is happening in New York City. So this guy, he openly embraces the label socialist. He's still surging to the top of the polls. He isn't hiding his ideology. He's actually flaunting it. But more than that, he's selling socialism as hip, modern, and inevitable. He's tapping into the frustrations of everyday New Yorkers around housing, transit, and inequality. And now he's sort of recasting radical ideas as practical solutions. So what we're going to talk about tonight is how did socialism get cool? How did a 33-year-old newcomer reach this point? And most importantly, what must conservatives do now to stop his momentum before it's too late? So let's really break into this. Let me see here. All right. So I want to start off with the debate last night. And let's open up with what he was really talking about a lot throughout the debate, being Islam. Of all places, New York City. Take a look. This is clip 4.
Candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except, that is totally false. I worked with the Muslim community for many years.
Name a single mosque you went to when you were the governor. Can you name a single mosque you went to in 10 years?
Before you were ever here.
Before I was here.
Before you were even in state government. I worked with the Muslim community. Yeah. Imams presided over State of the States. We worked in religious working groups, tolerance groups, anti-Semitic groups, etc.
All right, gentlemen.
Wow. All right, Nicole. So is this the marker for running for office in any city, but particularly New York City? You had to visit a mosque?
Listen, that line alone, it was a pretty horrible debate. Let's just call it what it is. It was an awful debate. However, there were certain points that if you were even a moderate Democrat in New York City, and you hear how the Muslim Brotherhood means more to him than anything, because that's what you came away with. It wasn't so much that Cuomo had worked previously with Muslims in the community, allowed an imam to come to the State of the State and quote unquote preside over it like he would do with Catholic priests and other Christian leaders. That wasn't enough. He needed to take his shoes off and come and bow his knee to Allah in order to get any credit from Zohran Mamdani. Now, this is not, he didn't say this by accident. He said that for that 1.5 million voters that the imams hold in their hands, simply by the word of these imams at these mosques saying, Mamdani is the guy, vote for him, gets him 1.5 million votes right off the top. Right off the top. So he's pandering to the crowd. And for that particular audience, they're going to turn out in droves. It's up to moderate New Yorkers. It's up to these moderate Dems. What kind of city do you want to live in?
Yeah, Shelley. I mean, even though he has, as you mentioned, there's 1.5 million voters, Muslims only make up like 9%, I believe, if that, of the population in New York City. But he is doing that rallying call. He was like Muslim, Islam all night long. And people are yucking it up. What's going on?
You know what, KJ? I thought about this today, and I wanted to look at it from, I guess, the other side, right? As to why socialism has become so appealing to a large swath of the American public, not to mention in New York City. Yes, Muslims about 9% or so of the population of New York City, but I wrote down some things today. And this is why I think socialism in general has become so appealing and is catching on, particularly in New York. It's going to start in New York. It's going to spread if it hasn't already. Number one, right now, people are in a shutdown. Just keep all these points together. They're in a shutdown. I'm not going to go through all my list, but I'll go the highlights. They're in a shutdown. In general, the middle class is shrinking or has shrunk big time. Okay, so we don't have that. We also have, not only are people in a shutdown, we have many of our elected leaders, they still collect a check. So all of that, stable, good jobs, and you can talk to Batya Unger about this. She talks about this a lot. Stable, good middle-class jobs, blue-collar jobs, whatever, were largely exported by corporations that Americans were loyal to for decades to sustain their families. They were hard workers, their communities. Another thing, the tariffs are kicking in, but Americans have yet to see the benefit to them on an individual family level. I'm just saying, take all these things. I have many more points that I wrote down, but not when you think about Americans in general, paying 50%, at least those of us who work, 50% or more in taxes. Americans and New Yorkers are saying, what is the benefit of me? If the government is going to take everything or whatever, then I might as well rely on the government to pay my way, so to speak. Okay. I'm not saying that this is the socialism. I support socialism. I'm trying to look at it from why people would gravitate towards it. Because at the end of the day, when people cannot pay their bills and people who have worked into the system, people who have put in, I'm not talking about the people who are just freeloading and things like that. Not to mention the Great Society programs that promise Americans all of these returns, if you will, returns on investment. And they're not seeing it happen. Of course, the big debate about healthcare now, for the average American, prices are going up. So these people who subscribe to this mindset, they believe that the government, I don't know why, but the government is coming to their rescue. But I can see it from their point to that degree. The government is not the answer. It is the problem. And now the government in the form of Mamdani is pretending to be the answer when the problems have always been created by the government anyway. Ronald Reagan told us that back in the 80s. When the government comes knocking, they're not coming for good. They are the problem. I'm paraphrasing what he said. But this is why these programs are so appealing. Where is the benefit from all of the things that Americans, the average American, have put into the system? Where is the benefit to them? I'm not saying I agree with socialism. No way, shape, or form do I. But I'm looking at it from their perspective to see why they're thinking this way.
Yeah. Well, you certainly bring up very good points, Shelley, and I agree there with those points. But I would just add that a big part of this, I believe, is the propaganda of the media. So now we have media who are out here encouraging and supporting these types of policies that Mamdani and the rest of these socialist Democrats, leftist Democrats are putting out here. They are not encouraging any type of debate. They have been calling anyone who are in opposition to the Democrats and their policies Hitler, Nazis, authoritarians, and all sorts, right, fascists, exactly. And they are out here particularly painting a narrative that is untrue in regards to President Trump's policies, Republican policies, and so on and so forth. And who does Mamdani remind us of? He reminds us of Obama. According to the New York Post, just before the debate, Mamdani led with 52% in a Fox News poll, ahead of Cuomo at 28% and Sliwa only at 14%. This is according to the New York Post. So post-debate, his lead has held steady. Post panelists judged Mamdani as resilient and message disciplined with no major drop in support. He's also like when I first turned on that debate last night, I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole. And I looked at them. Mamdani, he was smiling, he had a little charm about him. He's much younger. Cuomo and Sliwa are very much older. They did not present well. They were not energetic. None of that. And this type of stuff what Mamdani was doing plays to that electorate. What are your thoughts there, Nicole?
Listen, from a political standpoint, he is well coached. His team is made up of other successful Democrats, former campaign leaders. So he's going to be slick. He's going to be well styled. He's not going to look like the Satan that he is. He's not. They never do. I think back to all of the people who were on the Obama train and they were so inspired and he's so great. And when he put his hand in people's pocket up to the elbow, right? And you started missing an extra 13% of your paycheck, those same people were on Facebook decrying Congress, but not the man who was the person responsible for taking the money out of your pocket because he looks like my brother-in-law. He's friendly. He's a smooth talker. He walks with a little limp. He's one of us. New Yorkers are very much those people. It's unfortunate. And from a conservative perspective, listen, hope Cuomo wins, but that debate was Nixon Kennedy all over again. The young, well-styled guy and the two grandpas who were old and crotchety and now get off my lawn. I mean, literally is what they sounded like. So they definitely, debating him was to his advantage, not to the advantage of the other two candidates. When you think about a debate, if you're an older person, like Donald Trump did, if you're an older person and there are younger people on the stage, I'm talking about when he was running against Hillary, he came out and he had more energy than anybody on that stage.
Right.
Drink you 2 Red Bulls and run around the block a couple times before you come out on that stage and make sure you have it. Cuomo is counting on what he believes to be strong name ID. Unfortunately, his name is not synonymous with good times. Mamdani is promising the world, two-faced, smile at the Jews, talk trash to the Muslims, telling people who like to freeload, it's all going to be free, telling the taxpayers, oh, it's only going to hurt a little bit. But can I tell you, Florida is going to get so many new millionaires. Texas is going to pick up so many new millionaires. They're not going to stay and pay these high taxes in New York City, overrun with illegal immigrants and crime-ridden. They're not going to do that. With no police that are told to stand down, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we have some super chatters here, folks. Sound off of what you think. What were your thoughts on last night's debate? MT with the $10 super chat says FBI charged a Hamas guy in Louisiana today who was here illegally after being part of October 7th. So we're putting a pro-Hamas Islamist radical in charge of cooperation with ICE and NYC. 10% NYC is Muslim. Yeah, he's absolutely right. MT is absolutely right. That was the case today. Someone was detected that he was let in under Biden, and he was part of the October 7th massacre. So yes, indeed, it's a terrible. Thank you so much for your super chat. Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat says some people need to experience it. Then they will change their minds in 4 years. It only takes 6 to 8 months to feel it. I hope you're correct, Kung Fu CJ. I really do. MT with the $5 super chat says Tucker spoke well of this guy because he's anti-Israel. Sneeko endorsed him because he's anti-Israel. Priorities, I guess. Right. This is another issue we have. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is another issue on the right, that they are now cozying up to radical Islam. And some of our biggest past champions on the right, biggest voices, are now cozying up to it. So again, we have it coming in from all sides. And Mamdani doesn't shy from the S word. He embraces it as part of his identity. That flips decades of anti-socialist stigma. And I'm talking about socialism. He frames his policies, which are free transit, tax the rich, grocery subsidies, rent freezes, as necessary fairness, not radicalism. And he repeated it last night in the debate. Take a look at here. I have a clip here. This is clip 3. He's talking about taxes.
But the question is how you'll make them free.
We will fund the revenue that would have otherwise been brought in from fares. And that's something that we would do in partnership with Albany. And I've put forward 2 proposals. The first is to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers by 2%. That would raise $4 billion. The second is to raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, which would raise $5 billion.
Wow.
You know who he sounds like today?
Who?
Wes Moore. He sounds like Wes Moore and Miss Miller saying, oh, we're only raising a little bit on the top earners. So you know the top earners did move to Virginia.
Right.
So who's paying for it now? Everybody. Everybody, including the poorest among us. Including the poorest among us. Simple things. Everything has gone up because they chased away the people who create the jobs and pay the taxes. New Yorkers have to wake up. Listen, this guy wins this election. Their only hope is Stefanik wins governor. That will help tremendously, because she'll cut him off. She'll cut that money off, and he's going to have to figure it out. But if they keep Hochul, it's a wrap.
Yeah, well, business leaders are publicly warning that Mamdani's win would be disastrous for New York City, New York's economy. And it's signaling fear of his brand taking root. This is according to the New York Post. So, you know, everyone is talking about this. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that, raising taxes?
Well, of course he's going to have to raise taxes, because who else is going to foot the bill? The poor can't foot it. And when the wealthy people leave, they still won't be able to foot it. Okay. But let me say this. Again, of course, there's an anti-socialist sentiment in America, but there's also a socialist sentiment, and it has been for years, for decades. We do not have a purely capitalist economy. We've had a mixed economy for a number of years, and guess what? Those who have benefited largely from that, not necessarily the top half or the top 1% paying most of the taxes, the bottom people have benefited from it. They haven't had to put in the financial equity, so to speak. So we've had a mixed economy. And what I'm saying is that we outside, we haven't done as great of a job explaining the economy and teaching economics. We damn sure don't do it in our schools. Okay. We don't do it, to the degree where students and young people just starting out can say, oh, you know what? We need to break down these percentages, these pros, the cons. We have seen and we have allowed government to be the funder of education, to be the funder of houses, to be the funder of healthcare, to be the funder of just about everything. And we have relied on it, food, everything. And so now what do you have? If you have taught and groomed, if you will, generation after generation that, oh, Uncle Sam is going to do it, then what do you expect? You expect Uncle Sam to do it. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me that these people have this mindset. It doesn't surprise me. I'm not saying that it's going to work, but it doesn't surprise me of how they got the mindset.
Right. Well, and on top of that, we have a sentiment that is the system is rigged. And so when you have that, then radical alternatives become more palatable. And the left's long brand rehabilitation project is one of them. Over the past 10 to 15 years, these progressives and leftists have worked to normalize terms like democratic socialism, like separating socialism from Soviet-style totalitarianism. And there's no separation, but we let people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the mainstream media, along with their teaching this crap in our colleges, even in K through 12 schools. They're teaching this. And so now what do you think? We have a generation that has been bred on this stuff. And of course, they're voting for people like Mamdani.
Of course, because listen, it's free. This is the thing that kills me. When they do these man on the street interviews with New Yorkers and they ask them, who are they going to, I'm voting for Zohran. Why? Oh, because he's going to make everything free. Right. Nothing in this life is free. Not one thing. There's nothing free. So what you're saying is he's saying this plain out. I mean, he's not even trying to sugarcoat it. I'm going to raise taxes on the working class so the lower classes can live, quote unquote, free. But let me tell you what that free is going to look like. These free bus rides aren't going to be worth riding because the crime is going to be out of control. They're already raping and setting people ablaze on the train. Wow. So this is going to be crazy. These government-run stores never have nice name brand products. They're going to have misfits and ugly fruit and veggies and leftover meats. It's going to get to a point where, you're going to have to bring your own damn bacon to New York City. It's going to be out of control. There's nothing at all. There's no checks, no balances when people think something good is going to happen to me if I vote for this guy, and it's not going to cost me a thing. It's going to cost you your freedom. It's going to cost you your dignity. It's going to cost you your independence. And worse yet, it's going to be something that's passed down to your children.
Wow. And this is all by design, though. This is what they do with the socialist communist system. They create chaos. And then when everything goes crazy, they push people to depend more on government. And you brought up a very good point about this idea of defunding the police, decriminalizing all types of crimes. Here he was last night talking about decriminalizing prostitution. This is clip 2.
And to follow the advice of district attorneys that we have here in New York City, the current Manhattan DA, the former Manhattan DA, the current Brooklyn DA, the former Manhattan DA having said that prosecuting women for prostitution is something that actually leads to less safety. And what we need to do is provide an economy of opportunity.
Just a quick clarification. So no legalization, how about decriminalization?
I do not think that we should be prosecuting women who are struggling, who are currently being thrown in jail, and then being offered job opportunities. I think we should be actually providing those kinds of opportunities at the first point of interaction.
Here we are again. Nicole, this is what you were somewhat of what you were talking about. What do you think is going to happen if this type of stuff occurs?
Do you know these people, these quote unquote democratic socialists, when you ask them why socialism has never worked anywhere else, they say, oh, it's because they didn't have enough money or they didn't have the right setup. There's always a qualifier of why it didn't work. And he's very much the same. When this goes to hell in a handbasket, and it will go to hell in a handbasket, he's counting on the state to step in and make it right. They're going to count on the Fed to come in and make it right. But what he's saying here is decriminalizing this, decriminalizing that. Then what happens? If you decriminalize what they like to call petty crime, it's still crime, and it's not a victimless crime. What are you going to do when your STI rates go through the roof? What are you going to do when sexual violence and sex trafficking goes through the roof? Because listen, if I'm a guy or a person who runs girls or boys, and prostitution is the name of the game, and you're telling me that New York is not going to take my people and arrest them, I'm opening up on every block. You hear me? That is the American way. I'm going to chase that dollar. He's not going to have enough police to do anything with it. He's already swinging at the police with everything he has, blaming them, saying, oh, well, they're Trump voters and they should have never done that. His team has actually openly talked about replacing police officers with social workers.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but getting shot in the chest, don't call a social worker. I don't want to talk about my childhood when I'm bleeding to damn death. You know what I mean? This is ridiculous. All of the harebrained ideas that you have when you're a college student and all your bills are provided for, you know where your next meal is coming from, all of those pie in the sky kind of thoughts that you have as a college student, he's bringing to the fore like it really works. He's playing with people's lives and livelihoods. I hope New Yorkers are smarter than people are giving them credit for, because this is going to be a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, Shelley, what are your thoughts now? I know you have taken a sort of a different position on the decriminalization of prostitution, but he's talking about a lot of other things, decriminalizing and things like that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So again, I believe this for a while, not just prostitution, but so-called quote unquote petty crimes. I don't think that the jails need to be overrun with every person who is, petty crime could be walking the street, jaywalking, whatever. I get it. We can debate about prostitution itself another day. However, if he wants to defund the police or reduce the police force, which many of them have said they're going to leave, there will be rampant crime, whatever category, misdemeanor, felony, or, whatever. There will be rampant crime across the board. And women, if you're a prostitute, particularly in that environment, will definitely be hurt. I understand that. So the prostitution in and of itself, I know they mentioned that. We can talk again. We can argue that on fact to fact or point to my point. But the point is that New Yorkers in general, including prostitutes, where there are no police, will be certainly victimized, harmed even more. So absolutely, he's going to defund the very structures that he needs to maintain the order, that to keep the chaos from happening, which he's going to actually cause with all of this income distribution or redistribution. So he's really counterproductive to his own plan, socialist plan. Even in the former USSR, when it was the Soviet Union, they had more order because there was order and the chaos was much less. Granted, people couldn't eat. I am not pumping up the USSR. Okay, I'm not doing that. People couldn't eat. You may have stood in bread lines, things like that. But they did have order because they had the structural items and apparatus in place to help maintain it. There are trade-offs in every society, certainly every type of society. Look at Iran. Iran is order all the way through, top to bottom. But when most of us want to live there, no, because of the way they treat women, because of the education or the inequality, if you will, because of their laws, and even though they have order. So if you don't have the order, you're going to have chaos. Iran doesn't because they have a theocracy. So there are all kinds of trade-offs. The Mamdani, New Yorkers, like Nicole said, I hope this is all a wish wash for us, and that you are just playing a good trick on us.
I'm wondering if they remember what New York was like before Giuliani, right? So New York was a little rough. It was a little, there was a lot to be desired. It was not a place where you would likely take your children to visit. Just going to a play in Broadway, I don't want to say that it was out of control, but it was more than likely that you would be robbed, you would be mugged, something was going to happen. Going back to those pre-Giuliani days, pre the cleanup, and people decried the cleanup. I'm not saying the cleanup was a wonderful thing, but it worked, right? We're going back to that quick. I mean, like super quick. Because here's the thing. What happens when the free shit runs out?
Right.
What happens then? What happens when the veil comes off? What happens then? What happens to all the Jews who are wealthy enough to say, well, if things go bad, I'll just move, right? What happens to them for the people who can't afford to move? And now you have this open Islamist running the city. You think Sharia law is not coming for you? You can't feel Sharia law breathing on your neck? Everybody who votes for this man should go get fitted for some sheets. I'm just going to say that. Just go ahead and get you some sheets.
Well, no, somebody in the comments said, Christians shouldn't vote for him. Neither should Jews. But, I said this exactly, but specifically, this guy is not for us, for people of faith. I've said this on the show before, maybe, sometime God lets terrible things happen to draw people closer to him. And, we talk a lot about, Black Christians on this channel, but, I think there needs to be more talk about the Jewish people. When are you, these irreligious Jews, okay, Jews in ethnicity only, okay, and that are voting for the left and Democrats and for your demise, just like the Black community has done for years as well. Wake up, people, get back into your Torah, and go get closer to God, because you are sitting here voting for this demonic man. You're voting for your demise. You're voting against your own religion, and this is what they do. They do it all over the country. And before we know it, God forbid, something like October 7th could actually happen here. So I hope this.
Well, it did on 9/11. I mean, it did on 9/11. I want to say one more thing, KJ. When he asked Cuomo why he hasn't visited a mosque or whatever, I think Cuomo's answer, I don't know if you all talked about this right before I got on.
Right, we were
but, his response.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
His response was piss poor. Okay, he should have reamed him and said, first of all, I'm an American. This is the United States of America. This is not Saudi Arabia. It's not Iran or whatever. It's not, Qatar. He should have said that, number one. Number two, should have said, there's no criteria for me to go visit a mosque. Okay, ever. I would be duly elected by the people of New York. I would represent them fairly, like equitably or equally, whatever the word is, constitutionally, I should say. That's it. Don't bring this false religious test, if you will, and then have the audacity to make the test Islam or Muslim, not even Christian. Are you serious? Come on. I mean, she should have reamed him. He was so defensive on that. And this is the problem. People are afraid to just stand up and say, I'm an American, or I'm a Christian, I'm a conservative, whatever the case may be. But they certainly cower when it comes to defending and standing up to say, I am an American. I am an American. Cuomo was piss poor in that response.
Agreed. Yeah. I absolutely agree. Americans have this thing, especially of a certain socioeconomic class, of wanting to be polite, not wanting to be offensive. And hear this, we do want to find examples of Christian stewardship. And a part of that is calling out bullshit when you see it. Absolutely. You have the divine right to stand on your 2 feet and speak truth, right? Now, if somebody's feelings is hurt, it is what the hell it is. I'm going to pray for you, but you needed to know this. This is what people need to be saying to New Yorkers who are so excited about a free damn bus ride and some leftover potatoes that they're about to throw their whole existence into a screaming fire of a dumpster. This is not going to be easy for them to come back from. It's not going to be easy to fix, because one thing that we know about people who practice this particular brand of radical Islam is that they are incredibly systemic. They plant their people and watch them grow. They play the long game. Americans play the short game. You got probably maybe 2 months of our attention, maybe 3, right? If this election wasn't going to be held until next year, we wouldn't even be talking about it. Americans have notoriously short attention spans. However, these radical Islamists and the people who support them, they play the long game. They'll stay here and have 15 kids per family until they are in the majority. Hey, Dearborn, anybody? Wow. Dearborn, Michigan. If we haven't learned anything, we're destined to repeat the mistake with one of America's greatest cities, which I will tell you flat out hasn't really been anything since Giuliani left. It's been circling the bowl like a turd since he was out of office. And now we're at the flush stage. It's do or die, New York. It's up to you.
Yeah, well, it's done. I mean, this guy's basically, when you look at the polling and the election based off of the how close this election is, as you mentioned, this is done. It's going to take a miracle for this man not to get elected. And I think it's also not only because New York City is just a leftist bastion right now, but also, the options weren't great. Now, I do like Sliwa. He's somewhat okay, but again, they looked old. They looked, lackluster next to Mamdani. And so, the way that this electorate has been dumbed down, nobody's even up on the issues. No one may even know that he's like, so what socialism is. They're going to vote for him. They're going to vote for him. We have, sad. Yeah, it is. Silwa. Yes, we have some super chats here, folks. Thank you all so much. All right, AT with the $5 super chat says social worker here. I don't want to be responsible for a gun. All right. Yeah. Cooler King says, if you want to see the future of NYC, look at Vancouver, British Columbia. Mm-hmm. All right. Yes, indeed. Kung Fu CJ says, God gives the people the government they deserve. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Clove at Clove 55110 with the $5 super chat says, salute to you ladies. I guess New Yorkers are about to learn a hard head makes a soft ass. Yes, indeed. Yep. Yes, indeed. And it's sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes that. Right now, there's a viral video going around of this woman, a white liberal, who lived, I believe, on the Pacific Northwest, somewhere, I think either in Oregon or Seattle. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she was one of these TDS, Trump derangement syndrome people who said they had to leave the United States because Trump was elected. Well, she effed around and found out. She went to Costa Rica and now she's kissing the ground of the USA trying to get back here. Take a look. This is clip 6.
Today is my last day living in Costa Rica. I can't wait to get back to the United States tomorrow. God bless America, land of the queens, home of the gays, my people. Not me being all patriotic, but Costa Rica was way more conservative than I expected. I knew it would be a little bit because of Catholicism, but I didn't expect so many expats to be like hardcore MAGA vibes. Like they came here during the pandemic because they're anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, and they do not like liberals. They hate people like me. I've gotten more homophobic, transphobic, sexist comments here than anywhere else in the world, and I'm a very well-traveled person. And I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. I'm not gonna stay where I'm unsafe or unwelcome. Like that's just straight up dangerous. But it's a mutual feeling. I don't like the people here. They don't like me. I'm out of here. But it's such a crazy time to move back to America with everything that's going on. One of my family members sent me the story of the monkey paw before I came here, which is kind of like a be careful what you wish for story. It's about this magical monkey paw that grants wishes, but there's always a catch that comes with them. And I felt that coming here, and I'm kind of worried I might have that going back. Like I'm moving to a city that is about to get raided by the military and ICE as I'm arriving. Like that is so crazy. But I feel so embarrassed because I'm like, bye America, bye friends, bye family. Like I'm leaving and never coming back. And then a month later, I'm crawling back like Stassi Schroeder from Vanderpump Rules after her New York adventure where she's like, please take me back, take me back. Or like Alison De Laurentiis in PLL where she like comes back later like a shell of the bitch she used to be, but like kind of a nicer person, better person because she got humbled by life. Actually, I'm Ebenezer Scrooge. This was my Christmas Carol. I was very bah humbug, depressed in Seattle, ungrateful. And then I moved here and was like, wow, I am so privileged. And I reflected on my past, my present, future, realized this is not where I'm supposed to be to achieve my goals. And I have to get out of here. And, you know, it is embarrassing to like make a mistake and change, but it would be more embarrassing to like not change, you know, and just like stick with something that isn't working. But yeah, very interesting experience. If you're an American or, you know, from the United States, excuse me, and you're leaving the country, just make sure you go somewhere where the locals will accept you. And that was my biggest mistake, not leaving the country. If you feel like you should leave, absolutely do it. I totally understand that.
Oh my God. No, it's embarrassing that you talk like this and you're clueless. And we wish you would stay in Costa Rica. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is trans. So that's probably why they're having such a hard time, not just with the expats, but the people in Costa Rica. I don't know why, like there are places that you visit and have a great time, and Costa Rica is one of them places you can have a blast, but living there is something very different. It is very different. And for people who expect to be coddled, expect to have things handed to them, like many dingback youth, when you go abroad and step off that tourist area, you quickly realize that being an American in another part of the world means nothing. Not anything. And all the things that you hated about the country where you were born, here, the good old US of A, seems like a gift from God, because it is. It is absolutely God's grace to have been born in this nation. So you didn't have to fight to get here. You didn't have to fight to get here. All of the things that it took for granted, it misses. Like the freedom to be trans, like the freedom to do whatever you want to do whenever you feel like it. Other nations don't get down like that, and you can't talk crazy to people. Didn't we have that Black girl that got lumped up over in Russia for talking trash to her neighbor? I mean, at some point, these very privileged, very entitled people, the one thing that he or she said that made good sense is it was a moment of self-reflection. I took a look at my life and was like, what am I doing? I threw away all this freedom that I had for this life, which I thought was going to be free like a long-term vacation, but it's not. There are community standards that this person doesn't meet. Right. So please go to Canada. Go on. Go be a Canuck. Blend in. Don't come back here. We don't need another one. Yeah. We don't need another one.
Oh. I mean, Shelley, do you feel sorry for her? Do you think she should come back? Or do you think she should go somewhere else?
First of all, these people like this, she can go almost anywhere in the world. Most of the world is going to be as normal as Costa Ricans are, outside of the beach, outside of little small niche areas, or areas where she can just hang or whatever. Most of the world does not give a damn whether you are queer or gay. They're not going to make that important to them enough to make it so that it can be the be all of who you are. No, most of the world, you're still going to have to live by whatever the standards are in that country, in that community. That's how the real world works. This lady is representing of not just young people, immature people, naive people, but people who really have no clue about real life. Period. I would highly suspect that she does not have a regular job, if you will. She probably doesn't have a family that she has to provide for, things like that. She probably doesn't even have a car payment or whatever the case may be. She has no real responsibilities, but she has the arrogance, if you will, the naivete to just traipse around the world and thinks that Costa Ricans are going to just accept her because she's queer or whatever that may mean. Costa Ricans probably saying, bitch, what the hell does that mean? You better get your ass out there and hold your own down. Hold your own down. That's what Costa Ricans are saying. That's what she's going to have to do in America. If I would be embarrassed, I'm glad she did say she came to this conclusion. I don't believe that she has really digested it. I don't think she has.
The gravity of her situation. Yeah, I agree. I think for a lot of people, this is a perfect example of being a very privileged American and assuming the rest of the world is going to give you the grace that the Democrats and the very liberal people have given you here. In other parts of the world, you are incredibly abnormal and they don't want it in their culture. They don't want it. So yes, if you have to come back, I strongly suggest Canada. Canada is a lovely place. They've got all the seasons. They've got great hockey. It's a wonderful place. Find yourself somewhere in Quebec, settle down, and enjoy your life. But please, please don't bring all that back here. Please do not.
Yeah, I know people like her. It's these, like you mentioned, she has money, probably. She has some money. She comes from money. She comes from affluence. And, these are the ones that vote for Mamdani. They vote for Mamdani because they have never had to work and struggle. Okay. And so they feel like they feel for the poor people. They feel like poor people need help. You got to help the Black people because they're too stupid to do anything on their own. They can't vote on their own, so we gotta help them vote. All this dumb stuff they say. They think this is her, and so she hates Trump. So what she do? She moves to Costa Rica. She can move anywhere she wants to move to. Other people can't, but she can. And she got there and she found out we don't want you. Okay, and now she's coming back. Same thing with people like Rosie O'Donnell, Ellen DeGeneres, all of these people. They did the same thing. So, these people make me sick. They really do. They're arrogant, they're pompous, they're narcissists, and we have no use for them, really. There's no use for someone like her. What can she do? She probably has no skills. She probably can't work hard. Any type of hard work, she probably thinks is just too much. Oh my God, why are we doing this? She's useless. She probably doesn't want to have any children.
It's a man, so he can't have no kids. It's a man.
And the money she has is inherited. She didn't earn it herself. So she's wasteful. She's wasteful. She's wasting her legacy, her parents, grandparents' money that they may have left her. So she's wasteful. She's an ingrate.
Right. But you know what's going to happen, and you're right, Shelley. She will probably burn through her family money at a rapid pace, and then we'll end up collecting Social Security disability, because those drugs to make this man look like a woman cost an arm and a leg. They are not free. They are not free. And after she blows through the family money, who's going to pay for it? Go ahead, put your hand up, KJ. She's going to take your tax money and pay for it. That's where it's coming from. It's coming from us taxpayers, of the country that she loathed so much that she wanted to escape to Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. Did you notice that she refused to call people who live here in the United States America?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Because these
because she's an ingrate.
Yeah, these very liberal elites won't call America what we know to be America, what the world knows to be America, because there's North America and South America. So if people from the United States are Americans, what does it make everybody else who lives on a quote unquote American continent? That's their argument. I know, it's a special level of dumb. So what you have to do is listen to every fourth word and then drop a conclusion at the end, because it took them maybe 2 or 3 times to make it make sense to me. And they said, well, you can't be Americans because what if you live in another part of America? And I was like, so what would you call people who live in the United States if not Americans?
Right.
What would be the name? And they said, well, we could think of something else. I was like, or how about we could be Americans? We can continue to lead the world, and people who live in other places can be called by that particular name. We're not going to do all this. And that was probably 10 years ago when they started that foolishness. This is well before COVID. So when you think about how long this man or boy has been indoctrinated, this is just the end result of being overprivileged, underworked, never earned anything. Oopsie, I moved to a foreign nation and they didn't like me, so I'm coming back to wreak havoc because ICE is about to raid my city.
Yeah.
We don't need any more troublemakers. We don't. They should meet her at the border like, oh no, no ma'am.
Maybe they'll mistake him for a non-citizen. Maybe that'll be, because that's what the Democrats claim. That's what ICE is doing anyway. So let her be the first one. I'm willing to take a hit if you mistakenly deport her or him or whatever it is. We have some super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. Kung Fu CJ says, I've been half a way around the world, and when I returned, I kissed the ground of the US of A. Me too. Every time they say, welcome home, I say, hallelujah.
It's a beautiful thing. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. No matter how good of a time I've had. Mark Kendall with the $5 super chat says, the marriage of Marxism and radical Islam is a grave threat to the West, aided by migration tactics. Somebody has to say it, but we need another crusade. Wow.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
Yep. We were talking about that last night on Christian Conservative. So Sweet Latina for Trump says, hello and MAGA. Sweet Latinas for Trump. Yes.
Yes,
indeed.
ma'am.
All right. Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, that does it for us tonight. We wanted to pop on here and just bring you all the latest here. Lots of stuff going on. We're going to talk about it a little bit more on Monday. But of course, we have the indictment of John Bolton. Just want to give a quick hit on some of these topics. You ladies, just quick hit. What do you think of it? Nicole, the indictment of John Bolton. What do you think is going to happen? Did you hear about it? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, about time. It's about time. It's about time. Let me tell you, when he came out with that trash ass book, I knew then that it wasn't so much of him being a traitor or a turncoat because people's politics change, but it was definitely, where did you get this inside information? Oh, secret documents. His ass ought to be locked up. I don't think he'll see any hard time, but I think locking him up, ruining his reputation, possibly maybe 6 months, a year would be good. Would be good.
Yeah. Shelley, what did you think of the news when you heard it?
I'm okay with it. I know he said not guilty. He pleaded not guilty to the indictment. But look, it's been a long time, and Americans know it. We, in a lot of ways, we do have a two-tier justice system. Okay. You know, these elite, wealthy, whatever, they will get a slap on the hand for the same things we talk about. We want, crime to be prosecuted. Well, these are quote unquote white collar crimes, whatever, but they get a slap on the hand and they get off. Comey, Letitia, put Comey, Letitia James, Bolton, Jack Smith, put them all in the cell together and just let them, rub their feet and play footsies. I don't care. I want to see real people for real crime. I want them to go to jail. I want them to do the same damn time and sentence that you, KJ, Nicole, me, we would have to do if we did that. If we just even made a mistake and had some kind of NSA secret, or we mistakenly released something, we would be hemmed up. The IRS, the ICE, whomever, the NSA, they would be knocking down our doors now with the battering rams. They will be waking us up. Look, they locked up Peter Navarro, all these other people, Steve Bannon, General Flynn. Look what they did to that man. Good Lord. They had all of these schemes, and they put these people in jail on lesser or really no evidence that they created. They made it. These people should go to jail. They should definitely be prosecuted.
Yeah. Another headline that just came out yesterday. President Trump made an announcement about IVF. So he is lowering the cost for families who want to get IVF treatments. Now, this has been controversial on our side, on the Republican and conservative side, because there are some people who don't agree with IVF. Pro-lifers, so many pro-lifers actually have take issue with it. But this was one of President Trump's campaign promises. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this announcement?
I am absolutely a pro-life person, and I'm absolutely pro-IVF. Listen, some of us are capable of making children the old-fashioned way. Some people need help. And that help versus paying for abortion pills, morning after pills. I'd rather spend my money on bringing life into the world than killing it. And that's just honest. I think it's tremendous. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I have many, many friends who have, mortgaged their homes and all of that, just at a shot at having a child. So this is a tremendous thing that the president is doing.
Yeah, it was a campaign promise that he did campaign on. But again, there are pro-lifers who this is a red flag issue for them. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm pro IVF, pro assisting people to become pregnant and have babies. What the issue is with pro-lifers is what to do with the additional embryos that are created. How do you get, quote unquote, destroy them? What do you do with them at all? Do you keep implanting them in other people? Things like that. So that's the real issue, or that's the basis of the pro-life argument, or not in favor of it. That's number one. Number two, alongside that, we don't do a good job in the United States of promoting adoption. Yeah. We really don't. We don't promote adoption well. Many Americans will go out of the country to adopt babies. There's a lot that needs to be, I guess, fixed with our foster care adoption system to make it, to incentivize Americans to adopt babies, American children, or, in the system. So those things go hand in hand to me as well. So.
Yeah, I'm torn. I'm honestly torn on it. And again, the left is hating it because Trump's winning on family issues, but I'm torn on it. I'm torn on it for two things. One is because of the embryos that are discarded in many cases, and to me that is against pro-life. But another is this idea of IVF is creating these designer babies. We've talked about this one here before, how now they are using this to not talk about families, traditional families, but eventually where they will get rid of traditional sex. So the number one way to procreate would be through IVF, where single women can go in and do this IVF, get pregnant, create the type of baby they want, and then this would become the number one way to procreate. So, I mean, it's a shame how people just try to, you try to distort and pervert every single thing. But that's my issue, probably with my number one issue. I see how this is going to be used to further globalization, to further transhumanism, and to really, and when we think about it, we're talking about how it's supposed to help with families, but to me, it could actually hurt them. So it's, but again, I feel for any family that's struggling with childcare, having babies, and they feel like this is their only option. I do. So it's tough. It's tough. And out today, folks, President Trump went off on was it Venezuela? I believe it was.
Venezuela.
Take a look at this clip, is what he said about Maduro.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Maduro offered everything in his country, the natural.
Wow. So he said that live today at a press conference on national TV. Shelly, what are your thoughts?
Look, that's a signal to Maduro that you're not just barking up the wrong tree, you fucking with the wrong tree, because Trump is not going to back down. Maduro knows exactly that was for him. Trump said what he said, and it's always Trump will say things, and yes, it might be a little like, oh my gosh, he said that, but there's always a reason and a message behind it. It'll come out soon enough. Maduro definitely knows what he meant.
Yeah, Nicole.
Listen, I loved every minute of it. And I will say this, this silent war, quote unquote war, the United States versus Venezuela, it speaks to Trump in a way that most people don't understand. This is a man who abhors drunkenness, and I mean abhors it, and drug addiction. He sees it as sinful, not necessarily just for the person who's using the drugs, but for the traffickers who bring it here. When he talks about all of the American youth that have been lost to fentanyl poisoning, that have been lost to any kind of drug overdose, when I say this man's a teetotaler, he might have a half a sip of wine, but you cannot be buzzy in his presence. You may not. You take a look at some of our social medias prior to working with the campaign, you see lots of us turning up, champagne, this, that. Since the election, no ma'am. No ma'am spam. He will not tolerate it. So when he says he wants them to stop putting drugs in this nation, he means it. And they thought he was play pimping. So he blew up a couple of their boats with people in it. They still thought he was play pimping. So he sent the CIA to do what the CIA does. And now he's giving him a warning shot across his personal bow. Maduro might turn up, unalived. You never know. You never know what he's going to do. But he absolutely takes his responsibility as the protector of the American youth incredibly seriously. And it's about time we've had a president that does. We have to protect America and its future. And that's a part of that, making sure our kids aren't killed trying to get high on some stupid drugs from Venezuela.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Well, folks, that does it for us tonight. I think we have some super chatters here. Steel Toad with the $10 super chat says all of these different factions of the left have been captured Marxism in one form or another. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Right. And speaking of Marxism, folks, tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., catch Just the Guys podcast. That's our brother channel here on YouTube at Just the Guys podcast at 6:30 p.m. They're digging into Marxism, communism, and talking about how it affects us here. So certainly, please check them out. You go over there and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when they go live. All right. And we will be back on Monday at 9 p.m. We have a special live broadcast on Monday. We're all going to be in the studio. Big announcement for you all. So you do not want to miss us on Monday at 9 p.m. Check us out. All right. Nicole, final thoughts for the weekend.
Today was a tough day. A friend and Maryland legislator, Charles Otto, passed away this morning. And he wasn't a loud man. He wasn't a rah-rah person. He wasn't a person that thumped his chest and said, "Look at me," or slammed his fist on the table. He was what most people would call a simple man. He was simple, and when he spoke, you heard him. He was an incredibly funny man. I mean, he spoke very slowly, and he would tell you a story that meandered like a long road going somewhere wonderful. He'd make you laugh so hard you'd blow soda out your nose. This is who he was. He was a friend, and I am going to miss him. The state of Maryland, both sides of the aisle, definitely going to miss him. May his memory be a blessing to everyone who knew and loved him.
All right. Absolutely. All right. I'm so sorry to hear that. Shelley, final thoughts for the weekend.
I'm going to say get out, get some fresh air, get in front of or with some real people in real time, in real life. Just do it. Talk, laugh, whatever, walk, dance, whatever you can, pray, whatever the case may be. Just get out in front of some real people in real life. I've met a couple of people this week, and we just had a really fun time just laughing. They from different walks of life. I think one was a farmer, one lived on something like that, but it was just funny. We laughed, had almost nothing in common, but what we did have in common was our love for this country. So that's where we started, and that's where we landed.
All right. Yeah. And this is what I love about our community that we're building here on Poppin' Politics. We're all from different parts of the country, some different parts of the world. But we come together on here because we love America. We love freedom. And so, I know this is in a virtual environment for the most part, but I really I love it because it helps me to realize that there's more of us than we think. There's more of us out there fighting the good fight. And so I'm grateful for each and every one of you who come on here and chat and super chat and just support us on here, and we support you. And we thank you. We're grateful for each and every one of you all. Yes, indeed. So what I want to say is, we're going to close out tonight with this video because we want to keep sounding the alarm on these Christians that are being persecuted in Nigeria. So we're going to close out with that video tonight. We're talking about this also. We're going to do a deep dive in this on Sunday on Christian Conservative. That's at KJ Christian Conservative at 9 p.m. We want to keep sounding the alarm on this, folks. Israel is not the issue. Radical white supremacy is not the issue. This is happening. This is the number one persecutor in the world of Christians is radical Islam. And we need to sound the alarm on what's happening in Nigeria. Not enough people are talking about it. So on that, we wish you a wonderful weekend. Please say a prayer for these people, and hopefully help is coming. We'll see you on Monday.
Government came out openly and denied there is no massacre, there is no genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And look at it today. Is there any Muslim here? United Nations, I know you're watching me. American Senate, you are watching what I'm doing, I'm saying here. Special advisor to Trump. Now, please tell Trump to save our life in Nigeria. They are killing Christians in Nigeria, massacre Christians. If they say they kill Muslims, Muslims are being killed. By who? By Muslims. We are tired to be outside performing burial every day. And they expect us to silence. Now, it's an order. Nigerian government came out openly and